Christian Gilbert. They called her the Angel of Death. A cruel irony, she thought, as she adjusted her pristine white cap. Her smile was as sweet as the saccharine scent of the hospital ward, yet her touch held the cold kiss of death. Patients under her care seemed to slip away in the night, their life force ebbing with the tide. No one suspected a thing. Christian moved through the sterile halls with a practiced grace. Years of experience had taught her to navigate the labyrinthine corridors with her eyes closed. But her heart was not in the healing arts. It resided in the cold, quiet basement, in the company of the dead. The man who held her heart knew nothing of it. He saw her as a dedicated nurse, a fleeting shadow in his world of shadows. He was oblivious to the longing in her eyes as he wheeled away the bodies, his face etched with a stoic sadness that only she could see. His name was Ethan, and he was the only ray of light in her darkness. Ethan, with his haunted eyes and gentle touch, who treated the dead with more respect than the living. She watched him from afar, memorizing the way his brow furrowed in concentration, the way his lips moved silently when he spoke to the deceased. He never looked at her the way she looked at him. His eyes saw through her, to the emptiness that lay beneath the surface. Or perhaps he saw something more, something dark and unsettling that he shied away from. Christian craved his touch, his gaze, his acknowledgement, but he remained oblivious, lost in his world of shadows and silence. And so, she found a way to bridge the gap, to draw him to her. Her weapon of choice was a simple anesthetic, a colorless, odorless liquid that brought on a swift and silent death, mimicking a peaceful slumber. The syringe felt cold and heavy in her hand, a stark contrast to the warmth that flooded her veins when she envisioned Ethan's face. It started subtly, a slight increase in dosage, a delayed response to a distress call. The Angel of Death, they called her, but she saw herself as a liberator, freeing souls from their mortal coils. Each death brought Ethan closer, his presence a tangible ache in the air. She knew it was wrong. She knew the oath she took, the sanctity of life she was supposed to uphold, but the yearning in her heart drowned out the whispers of her conscience.
Another one, Christian?
The morgue was cold, sterile, a stark contrast to the bustling wards above. But for Christian, it was a sanctuary. It was here, amidst the quiet hum of the refrigerators and the faint scent of formaldehyde, that she felt closest to Ethan. He always arrived with a look of weary acceptance, his movements practiced and precise as he unloaded the gurney. His touch on the sheet-covered bodies was gentle, almost reverent. And when he looked at her, his eyes held a question, a flicker of suspicion that sent a thrill through her.
Another one, Christian?
Yes, she'd reply, her voice barely a whisper.
It was peaceful.
He'd nod, his gaze lingering on her for a beat too long before turning away. And in those stolen moments, in the cold, sterile air of the morgue, Christian felt a twisted sense of intimacy,